Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preview and Recap. For today, we're actually going to do a two-part episode. I'm going to be reviewing the 2017 Oscars. In order to do that, I have to do two different videos because it's way too long to do a preview, then a reaction video, and then a recap all in one video. It'll be too long. So what I'm going to do in this video is just preview each of the 24 categories and tell you who I think is going to win each one. And then after the Oscars, I will do a quick reaction and recap video that will not be that long. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to break up what I think is going to happen, what quote-unquote experts say is going to happen, and finally what my prediction is going to be. And I'm going to do that for each category. Okay, and without any further ado, here we go. Best makeup and hairstyling. I believe that with this one, I'm a little surprised that A Man Called Over is actually involved with this one. I didn't really see anything that had to do with makeup and hairstyling for this. I really believe that Star Trek Beyond needs to win this one. I mean, they used makeup to actually tell part of the story, if you actually watch the whole movie. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that like part of the design of the actual character done through makeup is actually essential to the story itself. So, experts also believe that Star Trek Beyond is going to win for Best Makeup. So my prediction for this is that Star Trek Beyond is going to win for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. So Best Visual Effects. Before the Oscars were announced, there was a bunch of predictions that The Jungle Book might actually be considered for Best Picture. And generally those movies that have Best Picture consideration usually end up winning a lot of the other categories. So I do believe that there is a possibility of Star Wars Rogue One winning this. I want to emphasize that because I think that would actually make the most sense. But I believe, and actually I think that Jungle Book is going to win with maybe Star Wars tied or close second. There are ties. It's definitely possible. But in the end, I believe the experts, me, and my prediction are all the same. Jungle Book's going to win this. Alright, Best Film Editing. I'm going to say a lot of positive and negative things about La La Land as this video goes, but I'm going to say the editing is really good for La La Land. I mean, there was the first opening scene with them doing the actual opening on the bridge, which is the actual bridge in L.A., it clearly wasn't all done in one shot, but it's edited in such a way that you would believe it was all done in one shot. And that's pretty neat that they were able to do that. The other movies, I mean, the editing's okay, but there's nothing really substantial in the other movies that really dominate or really surpass what La La Land was able to do. So I would say that La La Land is going to win for Best Film Editing. Okay, Best Costume Design. Now this is one that is going to be different than all the other ones that I'm going to review because I'm pretty much going to go against the experts here. When I think about La La Land in terms of costume design, I don't think it could really be that creative because it's set in modern time. So when you see people on the street and they're dancing and, you know, they're wearing regular clothes, there's nothing really special about that. I mean, if you look at movies like Allied, you look at movies like Jackie, I mean, they really use the costumes to set what time period they're in. And I think that's the kind of movie that should be winning Best Costume Design. So, given that, I would say that I think that Jackie should win overall. I think the costume design is really brilliant for what they were able to do. And most experts believe it's going to be La La Land, but I'm actually going against what the experts are saying in this one, and I think that Jackie is going to win for Best Costume Design. Okay, this one is going to be another one where I'm against La La Land for Best Production Design, but we'll see what happens. I actually, after looking at all the production designs, I would actually say Fantastic Beasts has the best one. They have to set the world of Harry Potter in America, and I think they did a really good job of mixing together American design with Harry Potter design to really make it feel authentic. But unfortunately, the experts say La La Land, and now there are some really good productions design in La La Land. I'm not going to deny that at all. But I will say that some of the productions designed were set against scenes in nature that were already present in modern day LA. I mean, the movie is established that it's in LA. It's shot in LA. It's really not that hard to go out and watch a car go by a restaurant that everybody knows exists, or go to a bridge. I mean, the bridge stuff was impressive, but at the same time, it's the design is already there. I mean, you're not designing anything. So, despite me saying that, though, my prediction is that La La Land will win this award. All right, best sound editing. Now, the difference between sound editing and sound mixing is that sound editing has to do with not mixing in the music. So it's basically just taking all the natural sound and putting it together. So this one, La La Land should not win at all, since La La Land has to do with music, since it's a musical. So, I mean, overall, I would say that Hacksaw Ridge has the best chance of winning this. I mean, generally the war movies win this award, so I would say that Hacksaw Ridge should win this one, and I'm going to, and I'll add one other thing. I thought that the sound mixing in Arrival was not that good. I really liked Arrival, but I was never really a fan of the sound editing or the sound mixing, even though we're on the editing category. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm even surprised it was nominated. So I'm going to say that Hacksaw Ridge is going to win the sound editing award. And I'll just quickly go on to sound mixing. Like I said, it mixes in the music. I will say that I was not a fan of the lip syncing in La La Land. I thought that was very par, even subpar. But I can't deny the fact that some of it was also good. I know that's not really, I'm not really explaining that very well, but it is a musical, and it is very hard to mix together sound and action within a musical. And the other thing is, other than Hacksaw Ridge, I'm really not sure. Oh, you know what? I will say one thing. I do think that, again, Rogue One has a real good shot of winning sound mixing because they're adding in all that awesome Star Wars music. If I said Star Trek there, I apologize because, wow, that's bad. Rogue One with all the Star Wars music, you mixing that in with the action, I think that was pretty good. And I think Rogue One has an equal opportunity to win with La La Land, honestly. But I am going to predict that La La Land, since it's a musical, is going to take this award. Okay, best original song. It's a La La Land battle for me. I actually like Audition. I think Audition should win. I think it's the best song in the movie. It really speaks to the heart. It's an awesome moment in the movie. It's an awesome song overall. I did not like City of Stars. Whenever City of Stars came out, I'm like, wow, out of all the songs in this movie that they came up with, this is like one of my least favorite. I really didn't like the song. But again, I'm going to go against myself on this one, and I'm going to say that City of Stars is going to win for Best Original Song. Okay, Best Original Score. Now, here's what I have an issue with this category. Original score really shouldn't have to do with the music in the musical of La La Land, because the score is just, the underlying music that's used as the movie progresses. Now, what is, I would say, brilliant, is using that score alongside the musical music in La La Land. I think that's cool. But the score that really jumps out the most to me is the score for Lion, because in the first part of Lion, it's just a kid walking around India when he's lost. And the score that is used for that, and the score that is used for the climax of Lion, I will not give that away in this video because I think it's worth everyone's time to go see it. It's what brings the movie alive. And I'm glad Lion is on the list for Best Original Score, because it's possible it wouldn't have even made the list. But I don't think it's going to win. I don't think it's going to get past La La Land, unfortunately. I really think Lion should win, but I do believe, and I am going to predict, that La La Land will win for Best Original Score. Okay, so let's get away from La La Land. Let's go to the shorts. I really liked almost all the shorts. Let's see. Borrowed Time. Borrowed Time had probably the best animation of all of them. Pear Cider and Cigarettes. That movie, I think, had the best story. But another good one was Pearl, and it had nothing to do with the 360. It had to do with the fact that it was a storytelling, like, a great way of telling the father-daughter story, and it was all shot from a car. And honestly, like, there was really no need for the 360. I hate to say that, because all you want to do, I mean, unless there's something I missed, which is possible, there might have been like some subplot if you look out the window of the passenger seat. But I would say that no, just watching the father-daughter interact was amazing, and I really believe that Pearl should win, and a lot of experts also agree that Pearl should win. But my prediction is going to be that Piper's going to win, because that just seems to be where this is leaning. I don't really like Piper that much. It's just about some stupid bird running around. I don't care, but I have a feeling that Piper is going to win. So my prediction is Piper. Okay, best live action short. When the live action shorts first came out, the only one that actually had a Wikipedia page at the beginning was Sing. So I immediately assumed that Sing was going to be the winner. I then looked at them, and Time Code really was my favorite. It's just a simple story, but it works. There's something nice and beautiful about it. However, I don't believe Time Code is going to win. I believe that the Academy is going to pick, and I'm not going to say the French word because I can't pronounce it. I think they're going to pick Enemies Within. I don't have a really good explanation for this. That's just where the experts are leaning, and for this one, I'm just going to go with the experts, despite my own opinion, and I'm going to say that Enemies Within is going to win this one. When I first saw the trailers for all the documentary shorts, I was like, "Oh my God, these shorts are amazing this year." Except for Joe's Violin, I thought all the other ones were incredible, and luckily, a couple of them were on Netflix, so I watched them. And I'm not going to lie, both of them really didn't live up to my expectations. The White Helmets, I thought was going to be amazing in terms of their storytelling and what they were trying to say. But the truth is, the movie more or less goes through their training in Turkey, and that's half the movie. You know, it's only a short, but that's half of what they do is they're in Turkey learning how to do everything. Like, they need to learn what to do, but like, here they are in Turkey, and it's just like, okay, like, I kind of want to see the serious stuff more, because that's what really draws you in the trailer. Like, you're like, oh my God, these camera guys, these directors are following around these people, like, dodging bombs from Russia and Syria. They deserve to win. But then you see it, and you're like, okay, but half the movie's in Turkey. So, I don't know. I'm not trying to take away anything from that, because I think it's a great film, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And same thing with Extremis. Extremis, the trailer, like, almost brought me to tears. And then you watch the movie, and it's still beautiful. It's still good, but it didn't live up exactly to the expectations where I was thinking. So I think that White Helmets is going to win. A lot of the expert pages I've looked at is divided between Extremis and Joe's Violin. But I'm going to go against what the experts are saying, and I really do believe that the White Helmets is going to win. The little bit of time that the filmmakers did to stay with these people who were having stuff being blown around them as they operated, I think is incredible dedication to film. And I think White Helmets deserves the win for that. Okay, best documentary. Most of the documentaries are very similar in theme, ironically, this year. But I am going to go with the OJ one. It's not really that hard to believe, but I want to explain why I'm going with it. The other movies, they definitely have a sense of telling a story from one side, even if the one side is justified. But the neat thing that the OJ movie does is it really tells every side of the story. It has, like, even if you believe that there are good people in the story and bad people in the story, you hear every side of it. And that's what documentary is all about, hearing each side of the story and allowing the audience to decide who's right and who's wrong, as opposed to setting up an agenda early on. And I think that the fact that that movie is able to accomplish that, granted it took 7.5 hours, but the fact that it was able to accomplish that, I think, is great. So, yes, I am going with OJ, Made in America, as best documentary. Best foreign film. I'm really surprised that Elle is not one of the categories here. Elle won the Golden Globe, so I don't understand why Elle isn't even listed for the Oscars. it seems like A Man Called Over, especially since it got 2 nominations, is something that is really liked by the Academy, and I won't lie, I like it too. But most experts are thinking that it's going to go to The Salesman. And after seeing the trailer and after reading into it, you kind of understand why. So, without further ado, I'll just say that I believe that the Academy Award is going to go to The Salesman. Okay, best cinematography. You know, I feel like this one's actually really uncomparable. I think La La Land clearly gets this one. The cinematography was great, even though it's obviously a musical and it's designed to be a musical. There's so much that has to go on within the song and dance numbers that the cinematography captures greatly, and everything that goes into it. So there's really no question here that La La Land should win for cinematography. Okay, best animated movie. Now I've only seen Zootopia, but I don't know. The other two, there's the two that are in English don't really look that good, and the foreign ones actually look pretty good, but I don't think either of the foreign ones move into a situation where they will win the award. So I believe that Zootopia should win, and I'm going to predict along with the experts that Zootopia is the winner here. Okay, best adapted screenplay. Okay, this one is all over the place, I have to say. Hidden Figures. I feel that the Academy is going to want to give Hidden Figures something. I mean, they listed them as Best Picture. Not even the critics did that. But so I feel that there's going to be something that goes for Hidden Figures. Now, I realize I haven't predicted Hidden Figures for anything yet. And maybe this is it, maybe not. But I just want to say before I go into my thoughts that the Academy, I think at some point, will want to award Hidden Figures in some way. So now since I said that, let me go into what I think in terms of screenplays. I would put Arrival and Lion as tying if I had to predict. Well, not predict, but, say what I think. Because I think Arrival tells a story really good with its dialogue. It has a great twist I didn't see coming that I think really makes the movie work. They set up, they make you think it's going to happen, but the twist is really awesome. And I don't know, I thought Arrival was great in terms of its story. And with Lion, and I think I've said this before, just the beginning of the movie, the first half of the movie, with just that little kid running around. And I honestly thought going in to see Lion that little kid scene was going to be maybe 4 minutes, and then you were going to see Dev Patel for the rest of the movie. But no, it's the little kid really carries the movie for half of it. And that screenplay, especially, there's a scene in the movie where the little kid has to run away from some people who are trying to, kidnap him. And the way it's done, you have to realize that at some point a screenplay was written that says all these actions. Okay, this kid gets grabbed, this kid gets grabbed, this kid looks sad, he runs this way, and it's all done to a great score, like I mentioned earlier, and with no dialogue. But you feel every sense of emotion. So I really feel that screenplay should go to either Lion or Arrival. However, that is not what I am going to predict is going to happen. I predict that it is going to go to Moonlight. And before I put up my fun little graphic, I'll explain why. I believe that Moonlight did a really good job doing natural dialogue. There were parts of the movie that was slow without dialogue, but again, that's part of what screenplays do. They set moods based on nonverbal interaction and things of that nature. With that being said, I prefer it to be another one, but I do believe Moonlight is going to win. Alright, best original screenplay. So, I'm tied between Hell or High Water and La La Land. Matter of fact, if this was up to me, I would say they should tie. They both do a really good job of doing a good mix of verbal and nonverbal. And I almost feel like the Academy should throw a bone to Hell or High Water in some fashion since they bothered to nominate them. But, the thing is, La La Land, I actually, if I really had to choose between the two, I would think La La Land should actually get it, believe it or not. Even though it is a musical and there's not so much about talking, but let's face it, there's a lot of talking in La La Land for being a musical. And, as a matter of fact, as the second half of the movie goes on, it's almost, I don't want to say there's no music, but there's almost no musical numbers. Like at the beginning of the movie, and towards the middle, as the two people are meeting, it's all like la da 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 because they're all meeting and it's supposed to be happy dappy and everything. Woohoo! But then as the movie progresses and there becomes problems with the relationship, the movie brilliantly doesn't do any musical numbers because it's life all of a sudden. So we're not so happy anymore. And I think the fact that they chose not to do any musical numbers for darker times was a good thing. So that's when the dialogue comes in, and even the way that they decided to do the musical numbers, I thought was brilliant too, and that's written into a screenplay. However, saying that, I do believe that the Academy is going to want to throw a bone to Manchester by the Sea. It's obviously one of the up there movies. And so I do believe, and I am going to predict that in the end, Manchester by the Sea is going to win. Now, it does have a lot of good nonverbal action, too, that's written into the screenplay. But I don't think it's as good as La La Land or even Hell or High Water. But at the end of the day, I do believe that Manchester by the Sea is going to win. So we're finally here in the actors categories. So let's do Best Supporting Actress. I'll make this really fast. I actually did not care for Nicole Kidman's performances or Michelle Williams' performances. I'm actually a little surprised to see them on this list. But I think there's no doubt in my mind, and it's same with the experts, same with the predictions, that it's going to be Viola Davis. Write her in. She's in. Okay, Best Supporting Actor. I'm going to do a quick shout out to both Lucas Hedges and Dev Patel. Dev Patel, I didn't think he did the greatest job in the overall part of the movie, but if there was a category for best scene, he would win it for sure. The climax of Lion was better acted than anybody else in this entire category. As for Lucas, I thought he did a really good job overall, like just being a normal kid, losing his father. And it was very realistic to see and hear. And I thought he did a tremendous job. However, when you watched Moonlight, there was clearly a favorite character in that movie. Like, it's funny, I actually thought before I went to that movie, I thought that one of the three time period main characters was being nominated for this. I had it incorrect. And then when I found out that my favorite character in the movie was actually being nominated, I'm like, oh, perfect sense. That makes so much more sense now. So I definitely believe that Mahershala Ali should win Best Supporting Actor for Moonlight. For Best Supporting Actress, it's a three-way race. You have Isabelle Humpert for Elle, which should be actually listed somewhere else in the Oscars besides this category, because you know what? It was one of the best foreign ones for the Golden Globes, so it actually won, so it should be there, but I digress. I already talked about that. Natalie Portman for Jackie, and then Emma Stone for La La Land. So the awards are all over the place. Portman won for critics. Isabel won for the Golden Globes, and then finally Emma Stone won for the SAG Awards. So you're like, okay, what's going on here? It's like who should win? I mean, it's really a toss-up. I think any three of them would win, and there wouldn't even be a question. And of course, Meryl Streep's there too. And honestly, with Meryl Streep, I think Amy Adams should be there over Meryl Streep. I thought Amy Adams did a good enough job in Arrival to be nominated for this category. And honestly, the fact that Loving is only being referenced in this category, I think, is horrible. I also believe that Joel Edgerton should be nominated for Best Actor, which he is not. And I do believe that, and I really mean this, that Loving should be nominated for Best Picture. And it's not. It was nominated for the Critics' Choice. I don't understand why it's not for the Oscars. It really should be. I think the story transcends time. I think you can look at it 100 years from now and it'll still relate to something going on in the world. So the fact that Loving's not there really bugs me. But I digress again. And I don't think she has a chance for Loving, by the way. But I will say that now that would be funny if Loving won. I will quickly say that because the fact that the other three already won, it'd be funny if a fourth person got brought in and they won for the Academy. That would just be crazy if that happened. It better not be Meryl. That's all I gotta say. But I believe that Emma Stone should win. I think she did the best out of all the actresses in this category. Experts are divided. Some say Portman for Jackie, and some say Emma Stone. But honestly, when Natalie Portman, I mean, when I look at her, I don't see Jackie Kennedy. I've seen other people play other famous people, and you see them, and you're like, okay, that's that person. But with Natalie Portman, I don't see it. I really don't see it. So, and Emma Stone, in my opinion, brings La La Land to life. I think without Emma Stone, it wouldn't even have this much nomination. And I'd say that with all the other production stuff and everything. So, with that being said, I am going to predict that Emma Stone is going to win Best Actress. Okay, and finally, not finally, because we still have 3 more categories, for Best Actor, it's a coin toss between Casey Affleck and Denzel Washington. It's funny. Affleck won for critics and for Golden Globes, but yet Washington won for the SAG Awards, and that suddenly threw off everything. Now, I saw Manchester by the Sea, and I'm watching, and I'm like, really? Casey Affleck is really nominated for Best Actor here? That's how I felt. Like, I liked the movie, but I didn't think it was Best Actor credentialed, if that makes any sense. I was like, okay, like, either everybody else did really, really bad, or... And as I said earlier, I think Joel should be in this category, and he's not. Now, there's one person I want to keep in the back of everybody's head. Gosling. I'm telling you right now, I'm not predicting he's going to win, but it would not shock me if he got it, and I say that because the Academy often looks at the skill factor, like, oh, were there any skills that were learned, or what did the actor have to do, and then they win Best Actor because of that. Not so much of how well they portrayed their part, but in terms of what they had to do. And Gosling had to do a lot in terms of piano work, so I would say that there's a strong possibility there. I think in other years he would win. But at the end of the day, I know it's his own movie, so it seems kind of weird, but I'm actually going to give it to Denzel Washington here. That's going to be my prediction. Experts are divided, but I'm going to say that Denzel Washington is going to win Best Actor this year. Okay, Best Director. I'm going to make this one really fast. I'm giving it to Damien Chazelle from La La Land. It's pretty easy to do. The other ones, I mean, and I know direction generally has to do with actors, but in a case of a musical, you have to coordinate with your actors and your production folks in a very unique way. So I'd say that he did a brilliant job. He's worked with music before in Whiplash. I didn't really care for Whiplash, but he worked in that type of field before. So, and I think he did a good job on this. And the fact that he's directed 2 pretty decent movies, I think, is good. So, yeah, hands down, he's going to win this award for La La Land. Okay, so let's get to Best Picture. So this is the part where I might surprise everybody. And you might not be too surprised based on how I've talked in this video. And I know this video has been really long, so I'll just get right to it. I think the Best Picture award show should award the Best Picture to Lion. Now, I know that's probably surprising because people have talked about La La Land or Moonlight or Manchester by the Sea. And part of me has a weird idea that Hidden Figures might pull this off because it won the Best Acting Ensemble award at the SAGs over Moonlight. So I would not count Hidden Figures out of this. But I think the best one is Lion followed closely by Arrival. I think they have the best stories. I think they convey the best emotions. And they're just the best movies. I mean, a movie is supposed to make you feel something. When you leave that theater and you're just like, I just had an experience. And La La Land kind of, once the movie ends, you're like, oh, do. I mean, and that's it, you know. And then you go on, and you go to work the next day. But Lion's the type of movie where you get in your car, you go home, you don't turn the radio on, you just think for 40 minutes. And that's what Lion was for me. And I would love it if Lion could pull this off, and I think they should. But they're not going to. Experts are clearly saying La La Land, and for all the reasons, for everything that is happening, with everything that has been mentioned in terms of direction, editing, etc. I would even say the screenplay too. La La Land is going to win Best Picture. And okay, that wraps up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to watch the Oscars, and I'll make a little reaction and recap video, and I will get it out to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you again for tuning in. Go Lion, and take care.